So guys, I am Jordan Scheltgen. I live and breathe content marketing. Hopefully today we're able to go through and I can give you guys some value and some actionable tips. But we are going to talk more so today about how to, they cut out the first slide, how to stand out in a crowded space with content marketing. Before we do that though, I do want to give you guys kind of the lay of the land and learn a little bit about you guys so I can know really where to go with this talk. So could you guys raise your hands for me if you guys are working on a marketing team or you're a marketing director at a company? Okay, great. And if you own a small business and you're looking to learn, could you raise your hand? Okay, a couple there too. Okay, great. So that helps me so I know where to kind of go with this. So when you're talking to your executive team and trying to get buy-in, we can go from there. So I want to start with kind of how I got to this point and why I know anything about content marketing. If we rewind the clock 3 years ago, I'm a college senior and I'm bartending. I started this little blog and I'm just writing about anything that comes to mind, really. We're writing, I got a team, my friends who are here actually with us who started the company. We're writing, everything's going fine. One day, I'm from Canada, so I like my hockey. One day I'm sitting there and I'm in Toronto. I sit there and I see this deal in the Florida Panthers. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with who the Florida Panthers are, but it's an NHL hockey team out of Florida, so it doesn't really make sense to begin with. But I see this deal and it says, Florida Panthers season tickets on for $180 for the year. So living in Toronto, if I want to go to a Toronto Maple Leafs game, it's very similar to like an LA Lakers game here. You know, it's going to be $150 a game. So living in Toronto, seeing this deal, I did the only reasonable thing that a 24-year-old guy can do who has no money, and I bought season tickets. Not knowing how we're going to get to Florida, anything about the Panthers at the time, but I was like, heck, I can't miss out on this. I got a free jersey too. So we buy this, and I'm sitting there with one of our writers who's on the blog, and I said, let's write a story. Let's document this. Let's really, really, live this up, being a season ticket holder. So we immediately start emailing the general manager of the team, demanding ridiculous trades. They didn't answer. But we go from there. We start trying to give away the tickets. We're on Craigslist. We're literally posting the tickets every day. Nobody will take them. Nobody does anything. We then tell the owner of the team that, hey, we're coming down from Toronto for a game. We somehow get through. It gets up to the owner. He says, okay, great. Brings us down. We have a full experience in his box. Drinks, food, the whole 9 yards. We then come back. This is now 4 months after we first bought the tickets. We come back and we decide to write a post on what it's like, our year as a Florida Panthers season ticket holder. We write the post. Once again, I'm just thinking it's something cool to put out. We put it out on social media. The next morning I wake up, ESPN has contacted us. Sports Illustrated has contacted us. We have local and national news stations contacting us. Once again, I'm a college senior. I'm literally doing this for fun. I don't know what or where to do. This thing takes a life of its own. Next thing you know, we're doing these interviews. We're getting links from Sports Illustrated, ESPN, all this exposure to the Panthers. The Panthers are sharing our website like crazy. We double our website traffic. We had been going for about a year at this point. We doubled it in 1 day. Then at the time, my aunt, who is in PR, comes up to me, and I tell her the story. She says, do you know what you've done? I don't know. I bought season tickets. It seemed like a good idea. She said, what you just did, a brand would have paid upwards of $250,000 for. And I said, well, 250, what? She said, $250,000. I said, I'm, once again, college senior. I have $250, right? And I'm like, okay. People will pay for this exposure. This type of exposure is important. And we can do it for people. And I don't have a marketing degree. I went to school for political science. I'm not a professional writer. If you would have seen the writing 2 years ago to where it is now, like it was bad 2 years ago, it's better today. But the point is that anyone can do it. What it is, it took 4 months, and it took this, we said, okay, this is going to be something really cool and really valuable. So I just wanted to give you guys that story, because what it's progressed into today is we've had businesses come to us from that story and said, could you do that for us? Could you write stories? Could you cover us? And it started out, we said, yeah, we could. It evolved. We now have an office in Toronto and one in Fort Lauderdale, where basically we take on all sorts of companies and we try and do this. We try to replicate really, in-depth stories. So what I want to do today is, as we go through this, I know at these conferences, there's a ton of people that, you come to them and sometimes it can be really, really in the clouds without any actionable advice. And I really want to make sure that you guys take away some actionable advice. So we are going to go through at the end, and I'm going to show exactly how you can write your first blog post that'll generate probably close to 1,000 views. So I want to make sure, at the end, you guys are paying attention. Everyone make sure you got a pen and notepad now. I think they came in your bag. So we'll go through it, but I want to make sure that we get to that. So what is content marketing? We can see right here that the interest is peaking like crazy. The thing about content marketing, we see last year, 550 million blogs were written in the United States. That's a lot of noise. One of the things we see with that, though, 449,900,000 of those blogs probably weren't so great. Content marketing, as the Content Marketing Institute defines it, is a technique of creating, distributing valuable, relevant, consistent content. Attract, clearly, you guys can read it. What it really is, it's a serious grind. If you're willing to commit to the process and commit to content marketing, you are going to see the rewards, but it might be 4 months, it might be 1 year, it might be 2 years down the road. That's when you're going to be able to really see these returns, but you have to commit to the process. If you want to be one of the 449,900,000 average blogs, or average pieces of content out there, you don't need this conference. You can go and start creating mediocre content. That is easy to do. It doesn't take a supreme amount of talent to create great content. It does take a supreme amount of work ethic, though. Why do we do it, though? Right? Why are we doing content marketing? I know we can talk about you need to build blogs, you need to do this, you need that, but why? What you need to do is you really got to break through the messaging that every company is putting out there. How many of you guys are familiar with the movie Tommy Boy? Put your hands up. Okay, great. For those of you who don't know, Chris Farley's in it, and he works for a brake pad company. So there's this scene in the movie where he's trying to sell brake pads to a distributor, and the distributor's saying, nope, I'm not going to go with you. I want this one. It's got a guarantee on the box. The guarantee makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. And Chris Farley's character is walking with the guy. He's saying, that guarantee doesn't mean anything. You could put a guarantee on a crappy product. It doesn't matter. And he finally eventually convinces them that, come with a quality product. I want to take this mindset to your website. If you're putting, hey, we have great customer service, we have a 100% guarantee, it doesn't mean crap because anyone can do it. We read right through that as consumers. So how do we differentiate? The answer is through content. When you're able to show expertise, and we see here, this comes right from Google Insights, that 57% of the sales process is done before anyone ever contacts a business. So when they are researching you, they're going to your website, they're trying to get to see, do you have the expertise? And I think this is when you create content, you have this opportunity to really demonstrate expertise. When you're demonstrating your expertise, you are selling your product and you're selling your business, but more than that, you are selling your personality, and that's what people want. They want to feel this connection to someone that they're doing business with. People like to do business with people that they like and companies that they like. So, as you can see me here, I'm looking confused. This is what we're doing. We're looking and examining businesses every time we go. Why do I pick Coke over Pepsi? They've been drilling some message into my head for the last 28 years that something about them is better. They make me feel more warm and fuzzy. So when content marketing, when we look at it as a whole, the opportunity comes at the consideration phase of buying, is when a person is ready to make a purchase, that they recognize your brand and actually pick you because you gave them some value previously, or they have some connection with you previously. So, what can you create? We can create blogs, and for those of you guys now, who has a company blog? Okay, about a quarter of the room. With the blogs, you can really, if you get down and dirty, you can write a 1,200, 1,500, 2,000 word, well-researched post. You can then put it out, reach out to influencers, and you can make it about what you really know and how you can provide value to people. You can do that. If you have a ton of data, you can really make solid infographics. If you're really good on Photoshop or Adobe Illustrator, you can go in, you can make infographics. Now, when you're making infographics, it's important to note that if you're going to put these on your website, make sure you put an embed code underneath them so that people can link back to your website. I know you guys have heard a lot about the importance of links. You can also make videos. You can make a video on this right here. Doesn't take a ton to do. Or if you have a camera like one of these guys here, you can go and start to record video and show your expertise there. What you really want to do is find out where you're comfortable and where you can make the biggest impact. If you're not a great writer or you are shy about it, but you know that you can talk, you're a salesperson type, get in front of a camera. Double down on your strength, and you'll see that that's where you can make the biggest impact. All those things. Blogs, infographics, and we've talked about podcasts, video. What are you really doing though? What you're really doing is creating a story. This story is what's going to help bring that consumer to your business and create a connection. So we can bring people in, but if we can tell them our story and humanize our story as a brand, it's going to make people like us that much more. And like I said earlier, people like to do business with people that they like. So think about it as we craft this story, we're doing it to build this connection. And it doesn't matter whether it's through blogs, videos, infographics. I mean, when you're here and you meet someone and you're shaking hands, you're telling your story, right? Who are you? What are you about? And you're trying to give a positive feeling to that person you're talking about. It's the exact same thing through the content you create. So where do we start? We know that we got all these types of content we can create, and let's say we've picked blogging. Where do we start? Well, we're going to start with audience. As we see here, we see an auditorium, we see it packed with people. This is what people think. They think, okay, my audience is 1,000 people. It's big. A lot of times we create content thinking, I got to please everyone. But if we look at Major League Baseball, if you guys aren't baseball fans, I apologize before for this reference, but if a Major League Baseball player hits 1 out of every 3 times at bat, 1 out of every 3 times, he goes to the Hall of Fame. If 1 out of 3 people like your content, you are winning. You need to create content for a specific person. And this is where it really starts. It starts with 1. Pick 1 person, 1 persona that you are going to write this content for. When you do this, you narrow your focus and you think, how can I solve this 1 person's problem? Because what this 1 person's going to do, if you solve their problem and you can start to build a connection with them, they're going to share that content with their friends. They're going to share that content with someone else who can benefit from it. And this is how you go from 1 to a packed arena. Now, I know this doesn't sound awesome. Nobody wants to think, hey, let's get 1 or 2 views on our blogs or videos, but this is the reality where we got to start, right? We got to start small, and we got to continually keep going at it, keep going at it, keep going at it. So a small audience isn't really a bad thing. Here's a video that we put out. We do this video series, and these videos, most of the time, get 1,000 to 2,000 views. For whatever reason, this one got 50 views. Now, if you're writing a blog, and let's say that blog got 135 reads, raise your hand if you think that that's a small number, 135 reads on a blog post. And be honest. Okay? If you think that's a lot, can you raise your hands? Okay, a little more. Now, if I told you guys that you could come on stage right here and talk to 135 people, would you think that's a good opportunity? Raise your hand. Right? This is what you have the ability to do. You have the ability, and it is crazy to think that you have the attention of 135 people with whatever blog post. They stop their day to listen to you. If you can change your thinking and reset your expectations to, okay, we had 30 or 40 people read a blog post today. And start to really think about it. Okay, next time we're going to get 50. Not next time we're going to get 5,000. Next time we're going to get 50. Next time we're going to get 60. If you're already at a couple hundred, okay, great. Keep adding, keep building, because this is what we want to do. We want to zone in on that one target demographic, and how can we answer questions for them? How can we make it share-worthy? They share it with their friends, and how can we build up this audience one at a time? I think a lot of people, they get discouraged. Or maybe it's your executives, you have to go and, how are the results on the blog? And you're like, we got 87 views. And they're like, that's not a lot. I've seen, they see the blogs with millions of hits, and that's what they want. Just showing that you have value, because as you build it, this is a blog post I wrote on how to be a morning person. That's 5,000 views, generated a ton of exposure for us, a ton of leads. This was no different than the video. But we keep swinging. We keep swinging, we keep creating. And if we keep creating, we're able to eventually then hit, what is quote unquote a good number, or a number that, an executive team would be happy with. So don't get discouraged. Really, really think, as you're creating this, we are building this community. This isn't a ticket to profit right away. We're going to build a community, and we're going to embrace this community. We're going to give value to this community, and then this community will grow. If you're looking at content for conversions right off the bat, this is not the talk for you. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is for content for conversions eventually. So we see content marketing as two words, right? It's content and marketing. I want to tell you guys the story. You guys, and I've made a couple movie references, but I think they're good because everyone's seen them. You guys have all seen Field of Dreams? We have a young, dashing Kevin Costner here. And he goes, and he starts, he's getting this thing, if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. So he builds this beautiful, puts so much work in, almost loses his farm, puts literally all his effort into this field, this great piece of content. And then magically, the best baseball team of all time, the two baseball teams come and play on his field. And at the end of the movie, I don't know if you guys know, but at the end of the movie, it pans out, and it's like the whole country has fled in to see this game. This is how a lot of people think about content. I'm sure you guys have had this if you are marketing directors and they say, okay, here's the budget, go make a commercial, go make a YouTube video, go create something. And you say, okay, great, but now we got to promote it. And they go, oh, we don't have budget for that. That's happened to us. We've been on the butt end of that before. Because this is the greatest fallacy of content marketing, that if you build it, they will come. If you put out great content, it will get discovered. Because if you, there we go. Well, there was that. If you build it, they won't come. This is really what we have to do. The majority of the work on any piece of content comes after you hit the publish button. You have to be out there and approaching that. However long you took to make content, you need to take equally as long to promote it. So, look, I'm not going to make you guys raise your hands because I don't want anyone to be embarrassed, but I'll raise the hand because this happened to me when I first started. If this sounds familiar, create a profile, I create some social media accounts, I create content, I'm feeling all good about it, I got my Twitter set up, I got 30, 40 followers, I'm following people, I'm tweeting, I'm believing in it. 2 weeks goes by and I've got 0 engagement, and I'm like, what's going on? Why isn't anybody engaging with me? I don't see any value in this. This is because we're taking the wrong approach with social media when we go to promote content. Social media is one of the greatest ways to promote your content, but we're taking the wrong approach. The biggest crime that is committed in social media is not being social. Social media is not your soapbox. It's not a place to get up and just shout, shout, shout. Where you can make a real dent is going out and tweeting at people first, commenting on other people's Facebook pages first, commenting on other blogs first. Because right now, when we all do that, somebody tweets at you, you start to feel, oh, I'm important, I'm warm and fuzzy. You pull out your phone, and you look at it, and you go, okay, you're tweeting them back. And when that person tweets something down the road, you're more than likely to engage with it. So we're going to talk about some of the keys here to successful content marketing. As we go through these, there will be some stories, but also we're going to get into the actionable stuff. Before we do that, though, I want to talk about an idea of disproportionate results, and this got cut off a little bit when we sent over PowerPoint, but this is disproportionate results. Who here has heard of this idea of disproportionate results in marketing? 1, 2. Okay, so what disproportionate results really is this idea that, you know, if you were to put 1 hour of work in, let's say into a blog post, and that got you, let's say, 100 views. Proportionate results would be, we put 2 hours in, we get 200 views. 3 hours, 300 views. Marketing doesn't work like that. Neither does content marketing. The way content marketing works is if you put twice the effort in, a lot of times you can yield 5 to 10 times the results with regards to your traffic. Because you guys have heard about this 10x content here, make stuff that's 10 times better. If you do that, you're stepping out from that 550 million people who are putting the 1.5 hours into their content. If you really go, you aggregate data, you bring it in, you have a unique viewpoint. Now you're able to create content. Sure, it takes you 2, 3 times as long. I mean, when we write blog posts, they're taking us, you know, we put a couple days of, full-time work into writing, researching, doing all this stuff. It's not a 1 hour activity. Because we see that for us to really make a dent, for people to really get value out of it, we got to put that extra effort in. And then what happens? People link to it. People share it. It goes up in search. We're able to continually get traffic from it. This is what we want to do, and this is the way we want to approach content marketing. Let's see, am I too far? Okay. So you built this. You got to promote the heck out of it. Your content, like I said, the content is half the battle. Now you better gear up, because this marketing side, this is where it gets really about being nitty and gritty. The first thing you're going to do when you have a piece of content, you're obviously going to share it on social media. One of the things that I think a lot of people aren't taking advantage of, say you wrote this great piece of content or video or whatever and you published it, a lot of people publish it once and then it's gone forever. Never publish it. Oh, it didn't work. Didn't do well. Who says that you can't take a post down off your blog, add some new data to it, change the title, and repost it on Facebook a month later? See how it does. So many people post it once, and then the life expectancy of that article, which you guys have heard, you know, is 2.6, 3 days. You're allowed to repost your content. If you put a lot of work in and it didn't hit, it didn't go, and you believe in it, you're allowed to repost it. The other thing I want to say is you want to make sure that you're posting, you know, appropriately on each network. As your potential customer and your audience evolves and moves, you got to move with them. I'm sure you guys have heard a lot, if you're following all the marketing blogs, you know, Snapchat, Instagram, that's where everyone's going. Snapchat, Instagram. That's true. They are there. And there's an opportunity for you to land grab in those places and really just stay relevant. So when people see you on Instagram when they're lying on the couch, when they go on Facebook later that night and they see the post again, they'll click through because of the brand recognition. So really look at where your demographic hangs out, your target, and be on those websites. And don't be afraid to republish and to post. The next thing we're going to talk about is influencers. You guys have probably all heard this term of, you know, outreach, SEO outreach. On your next piece of content, I challenge you to send out 25 emails to people who you would consider influencers and just say, hey, look at, I made this post. I really liked your post before. To mention one of their posts and say, I really love your feedback. And then what you say is, you wait. Most people are pretty nice and are willing to help you out if you're not going in with a full self-serving attitude. If you're going in, hey, please share this, or if you're just tweeting like crazy, you're going to see limited results. We're going to get into influencers more at the end and actually how to go through it, but I do want to talk about reposting on other sites and guest blogging. Who here has heard that guest blogging and SEO is dead? Can you raise your hand? Nobody. Okay. Well, that is a very familiar thing. They say that guest blogging is dead. Yes, you shouldn't do it. Guest blogging is only dead if you're making crappy stuff. That's the reality. If you make good content, you can guest blog and you can get featured on great publications. But the way you have to do it, everyone says, okay, I'm going to guest blog. I'm going to write a post for another business. And they go right to entrepreneur.com and they type in this submission. That's not the way to do it. They get 2,000, 3,000 of those a day. Type in, let's say you're a lawyer, right? We look at it and we say legal advice blog or lawyer's blog or whatever topic you think you can do. Search that in Google, then go to page 3 of results. Find that publication, because that's the publication that's going to let you write for them when you're first starting out. So for me, I want to write about entrepreneurship, right? If I type entrepreneurship advice, Forbes, Inc. 500, all of these websites that, quite frankly, I don't have the background nor the clout to write for. But if I go to page 4 of results of websites that are getting 100,000 to 200,000 page views a month, and I email that editor and say, hey, I love what you're doing. I'd love to contribute. More times than not, they're a person that's like, heck yeah, we're starving for content. Here are our guidelines. Go nuts. Start creating. This is how you can level up. So when you get on the 3rd or 4th page of Google, and then when you go to approach a publication that's maybe on the 2nd page, you say, look, I wrote for that one right there. You can check out my piece of content. Not to mention that these pieces of content actually link back to your website, which in your bio, which is all bonus. And more than that, though the link is a positive metric in search, anyone who clicks through, and when there was this big study done on guest blogging, they said that the average guest blog only gets 56 people clicking through back to a website. That might seem small, but those 56 people have intent. They wanted to know what you're about. So for a lot of us, that's a great opportunity. But Jordan, our business is boring. Who here would say that they are in a quote-unquote boring industry? Could you raise your hand? It's okay, right? This happens a lot. A lot. And I want to tell you guys a story. When we first started, I flew out to Vancouver, BC, and I was going to meet with a moving company out there, and we were going to start talking about marketing. So I get in, land, I show up at this old school warehouse thing. It was pretty ugly, and we walk in, and the office is there, and this is in 2012, 2013, late 2012. The office itself was straight out of the 80s. Had these cubicles, nobody was having fun. Nothing was going on, and I said, okay, well, we can help here. I sit down with the CEO, and he says to me, Jordan, his name's Mark, he's got a really deep voice. So Jordan, he's like, there's 2 things you do in moving with marketing. He's like, we only do AdWords and reviews. I said, okay, and as you guys have heard throughout the day, if you do what everyone else is doing, there's no way to stand out. If you do what everyone else is doing, if you're buying terms on AdWords for, in his case, Vancouver movers, everyone is doing that. That's like putting a price guarantee on a box. You don't differentiate at all. So I sat with him, and we went through, and I said, Mark, which is his name, I said, Mark, what if we don't sell the move? What if we don't do content about the move? People aren't, because he was saying, we got the trucks, we got this, we got that, because people aren't excited about the move. What people are excited about is the happy life on the other side of the move. They're excited about their new neighborhood. They're excited about their new neighbors, their family. Maybe they're moving in with a spouse, they're having a child. That's what they're excited about, because moving itself sucks. We all know that. And he said, oh. And if you ever heard any good salesman before, they'll say, you're never selling the drill, you're selling the hole that the drill creates. This is what we need to do with our content. What is on the other end? Yeah, you're putting out this blog, you're trying to answer questions that are around your industry. And that's when it clicked for him. And he said, okay, let's do this. This moving company, which we're going to show you guys, this is a local moving company. I'm going to show you guys some of their blog posts. They've been on for 2 years. They've fully committed. I mean, the CEO now is asking me, he's like, what's Snapchat? Should we be on Snapchat? And I'm like, this is amazing. From where we were 2 years ago when all we were doing was AdWords. 30% up in sales year over year. And the audience is massive. But what he does, he makes content that people want to read. So a moving company, what we do, if I was thinking, look, we're never going to rank for the word real estate Vancouver, or here, real estate LA. That's going to be Zillow, Realtor.com. That's going to be the big dogs, right? We're not going to get that. But could we rank it for the best LA suburb to retire in? Probably. So if we write a piece of content that says, okay, we're going to take some heavy data, and we're going to say, here are the 5 best places, in his case, to retire in Alberta, or cheapest places to live, because a person who types that into Google is showing more intent. That's where it's also less competition, and we have more opportunity. Through creating these types of posts, this is how we were able to build an audience and a steady stream of organic traffic. We talked, and I know I've been in this, and you guys have heard a lot about making stuff that's share-worthy. If you look at a piece of content that you've created and you feel like, this is a little salesy, you shouldn't post it. If you give all value up front, though, you say, we're just going to give as much value as we can to a person through an informative piece of content, whether that's a video, blog, infographic, podcast, whatever, then we're going to see that when people come back and they interact with more and more and more content, that's where you're going to see the correlation to sales. If you're expecting it to be like, hey, they come read a blog, they purchase a product, that's just not how it works. So I wouldn't worry too much about thinking in terms of conversions. Think more in terms of branding right away. And then at the end of a year, look at, hey, did our conversions go up more so than we thought they would? A lot of times, before we get into this slide, I think a lot of people, they solely sell product and price on their social advertising. So these are a bunch of real estate agents. And who has a friend? Is anyone in here a real estate agent before I go on this rant? Awesome. So if anyone has a friend who's a real estate agent, how annoying are they on social media? They're the worst. Like, honestly, the worst. I don't care that you have an open house. I'm going to buy a house once every 5 years. I don't care about this listing that's on the other side of town. You might have moved to another state and you're still posting it and sharing with me. I don't care. But I do care about you as a person. So when we look at this, if we're able to celebrate community and take price and product, not completely out of the equation, but let's insert people into the equation. Let's insert your people into the equation. There's 2 ways you could do a real estate agent can do this, right? They could take a photo of a listing that they just put up, or they could take a selfie with the family that they're moving into the house with and say, I'm so happy to give clients, Catherine and John, the house of their dreams, and put that selfie on Facebook and social media. One's going to do drastically better than the other. If we look at this in another space, say you're a plumber. Would you go and post a bunch of pictures of dirty toilets on social media? Probably not. But you might post the team at a local food bank. You might post the local softball. You might post a blog post on, hey, these are the 10 most interesting toilets throughout history. Right? Like that, you could go back and get ancient Greek stuff. You could do all this stuff. And this is where you're going to see that's interesting. Because everybody's going to need to buy a toilet one day. Or everyone's going to need to call a plumber. So this is where we can make them remember us. In this particular one we see here, you're not selling your service, you're always selling yourself. And when you guys get a call, right, and your phone goes off, and you see on caller ID, you see that it's Verizon or Comcast. Who here is excited about that call? I didn't think so. Now, if your best friend is calling you, there's a feeling that's associated when you see that name come across the screen, right? That's what we want to do on social. We don't want to be Comcast. hey, 5 months, we want to start to build this friend relationship. So when you see it on social, you go, this is pretty cool. All right, check out the photo, check out what are they up to, this, that, you're in their memory. Next, I want to talk about giving value to people before asking for it in return. This right here is a lady, she runs her own business. She's in the state of North Carolina. And this is, I know I just hated on real estate agents. She's actually one who's doing an amazing job. So she's gone, and if you've noticed here, she's in her car with a smartphone. She knows that that's her best way to make a dent with regards to content marketing. She films 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute videos on tips for home buyers. She's committed to it too. She's got this small area of North Carolina, and these videos are getting 1, 2, 3, 4,000 views. If you've noticed too, they're not professionally edited. These thumbnails, right? Her mouth is open in half of them. They're, like, sometimes she's fiddling with the camera, but it's authentic. You don't need a professional lighting and a cameraman to follow you around. You just got to be authentic. I think it's important here for us to talk about, or have any of you guys ever had someone from your exec team say, we need to go viral? Right? I want to be the Dollar Shave Club guy, or Poopery. Like, oh man. Every single time that happens, I just shake my head. We all want to go viral. But what does viral mean for our industry? If we have a pipe cleaning company, and we get 1,000 views on a blog about 8 ways to, have cleaner pipes, better pipes this fall, whatever, that's a win. You have gone viral in your niche. So I think there's this kind of like romanticized thing when it comes to content marketing of like, we need 1 million hits, otherwise that was a failure. If you get 2,000, 3,000 hits, those are people who actually sought out, right? When we're saying, what are the tips for first-time home buyers? Someone's typing that into YouTube. They get 2,500 people in her area that are searching for that. That's where you can win. So at this point, I actually want to talk about, if you guys bring out your pen and paper, this is where we're going to get into how to write a blog that will actually drive some traffic for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to give mentions before we get them. So everyone here, I want you to take a minute and you can write, if you don't fill out all the companies right now, but you're going to write down 5 companies who you would share a customer base with, but they're not competitors. So for me, we're a small business, we use FreshBooks accounting software. So that's one, right? They're going after other business owners. We would put down FreshBooks, maybe Salesforce, some of these types of companies. 5 tools that you love. You could even say you're an accountant. You could be 5 tools every small business needs to use. You're going to write those down. Then what you're going to do, you're going to create a blog post on, let's say it's these companies. It could be other restaurants like it is in this post right here. But you're going to say, okay, these are 5 rockin' tools that every entrepreneur should have. Or 5 tools that every lawyer needs. 5 tools that everyone in whatever space you're in needs. Or 5 places everyone who's a part of this industry needs to go to. You write these 5 things, you put them down. You're then going to you're going to pull images from Facebook, or more, what would be better is to go to their Instagram and actually embed their Instagram photos into the blog post, and you're going to write a short review on why you like each one of those tools and the value that it's given you personally. From here, you've probably got a 700-word blog post now, some nice photos. You're going to hit publish. You're then going to go to your personal Facebook account. You're going to look up all of these companies' Facebook pages. You're going to message them. You're going to say, hey, how's it going, FreshBooks? I just wrote a post on the 5 tools that every business person can't live without, and you guys rank number 2. You've given them a lot of value. Now you have to go for an ask. And you say, it would be awesome if you shared it with your fans. Thanks, Jordan. These people are starving for content. Every business is starving for content. They're starving for positive mentions. What do you think happens with this? Well, I'll tell you, 90% of companies repost it on their social media accounts. When you don't have an audience, you have to hijack audiences. So you have the ability to go in and get in front of their 10, 20, 30,000 fans who will share a similar customer base with you. This is how you hack. They're not even competitors. They're just, similar products that people use. You're able to hack their audience. And sure, let's say they post it and you get 1,000 views. That's great. What we're really worried about is the next time you post it, what's the return visitor count like? You're probably going to get about 10% of their viewers coming back if you're able to produce content on the regular. This is where the opportunity is. Now, I know we got about 2 minutes, so I'm going to get through the influencer part of this relatively quickly. You got to create relationships with influencers. And not Kanye West. I think a lot of people, when they start, they start tweeting their articles at these super famous people. I mean, that's like standing here and a plane flies by and you're trying to yell and get the pilot's attention. Like, it's just not going to happen. These people have millions of followers. They're not going to be able to get your product out into the... It's a waste of time. But this right here, is Patrick Coffey. He's a staff writer at Adweek. He's got 3,200 followers. I bet this guy looks at his phone when I tweet him. Right now, you got 140 people in this room who are all into digital marketing. I bet you some of us have 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 followers that would be able to retweet and share some of your stuff. Start small. Make connections with people who are in this room. Go back and forth. Share their stuff first. If you're able to actually build rapport and build connections, you never know who's connected to who. Right? We all know Rand Fishkin in this room. Right? There's a person at this conference who's 1 degree removed. Renell, that's probably a good person to go and, sorry, Renell, if you're in here and I set you up for a lineup of people talking to you, but this is probably a good person to, actually continue a relationship with, because you never know who's going to connect you to who, and you never know who's going to take your post and republish it. So this is just a little bit on influencers. With that, guys, I would have done a Q&A, but we are actually out of time. I will be around here hanging out if you have any questions. I hope that provided some value to you. Thank you, Aaron, for having me. And cheers, guys.